unless things change, these new spendings could be the final acts that trigger the debt bomb for Guam, much in the same way that uncontrolled spending triggered the debt bomb for Puerto Rico in 2016. The first fact of life that our senators need to be reminded of, we have a small population. The population here on Guam is smaller than the population of many towns and cities in the United States at 163,272. And more important is out of that number, out of that small population number, only 63,510 people have jobs. 39% of our population has a job. The second fact of life that our elected officials don't seem to know or conveniently forget is we have a weak consumer market. We have 44,632 individual households. And in those households, combined, 60% of those households have combined incomes less than $50,000 a year. And when you think about that, $50,000 a year doesn't sound that much when you have to take out rent, utilities, gas, insurance. It goes fast. And 34% of those 44,000 households are on SNAP, Supplemental Nutritional Assistance, or food stamps. So we have a weak consumer market. And this is one that really is important. We have a small middle class. The reason we have a small middle class is our incomes have been stagnant over the last 10 years. The cost of living has risen about 30% over the last 10 years. It's gotten to the point now where we have an explosion of multi-generational families living under one roof because our younger generations are finding it very difficult to earn the kind of money they need to be able to live on their own outside of the family home. The fourth fact of life that our politicians are having trouble coming to grips with is we do not have a true free market economy here on Guam. We have a government-weighted economy. In other words, when 36% of our economic activity is the result of government spending, that is not a true free market economy. Look at Puerto Rico, 10%, Hawaii, 11%. So, and when you look at the different states, it's somewhere between 7 and 9% of their state economies are based on government spending. But out here on Guam, 36% of our economy is based on government spending. The fifth fact of life that our senators need to really take to heart is the people here on Guam are economic refugees. If I was living in Puerto Rico, I could fly one way to Miami for $159 to look for a job. Or I could fly to Atlanta for $179. Or I could fly to Raleigh, North Carolina for $215. But here on Guam, if I want to go to Los Angeles, it's going to cost me $1,700 for a one-way ticket. So the fact that we don't have a labor market where the people of Guam can easily move to places where jobs are keeps the wages low here. And this is one fact of life that our senators conveniently forget every time wage bills come up. The real cost of living has gone up 30% over the past 10 years, but the cost earning power has not kept pace. And as a result of that, our local economy is stagnating, because when you look at the cost of living here on Guam, the disposable income is going down every year. Every time utilities go up, insurance goes up, taxes and fees go up, the amount of money that people have to spend goes down. And as the economy continues to stagnate, what we're seeing is more online shopping, which means lower sales locally, lower taxes collected locally, and ultimately lower employment. And when the employment levels start to drop, the cost to the government through increased welfare expenses goes up. And this is something that we really need our senators to understand. Our economy is driving our outbound migration. The way things are here on Guam, we're creating about 1,300 jobs a year, and most of them are low-wage service sector jobs in hotels, restaurants. But we're graduating between 2,300 and 2,500 high school and college students a year. That's one of the reasons why Guam has one of the highest enlistment rates in the nation. Because every year we have hundreds of students with no employment opportunities. And what that's doing, it's fueling an exodus to the mainland. And the problem with that is this exodus, number 9, fuels the shrinking of our tax base. Every day, residents of Guam are boarding the United Airlines for the last time. In other words, because of their inability to find quality jobs here or to be able to cope with the high cost of living, many of our young people and their families are leaving Guam. They're relocating to areas in the United States where there's more opportunity and a better quality of life. We're losing our technical and professional people who get tired of dealing with the stress and inconvenience of living here on Guam. I know business owners who are in the process of quietly liquidating their assets here on Guam and buying new businesses in the mainland. And when these people leave, when they sell their homes or their businesses or their cars, all the money goes with them to the mainland. So we don't even get that multiplier spin here in the local economy. And as the people leave, the tax burden gets divided up among a smaller number of people, increasing the tax burden on each and every one of us. Right now, the actions the governor and the speaker are taking have the potential to arm the debt bomb. And once that is armed, bad things could happen. And why does that matter to you? Well, the way things have changed here on Guam, it matters a lot. If you don't already own your home or own a mortgage, or if you were born after 2000 and you're trying to get started in a professional career, you may not be able to stay here on Guam too much longer unless our elected officials act in the best interest of the people over politically well-connected insiders. And based on the things we're seeing right now, I don't see that happening, especially when you consider we're talking about $300 million of new spending with no words at all about spending offsets or decreases in operations. So unless we get a substantial decrease in operations or a substantial offset to the new spending, that could be enough to push the debt bomb trigger, making Guam number 2 territory to declare bankruptcy, right behind Puerto Rico. Help prevent that. Like this post, share this post, follow this page for updates and new information. I'm Leon Guerrero, and this has been a Guam Citizens for Public Accountability presentation.